Welcome to Energy Stew. This is Peter Roth, your host, and I'd like to ask you, don't you just love everything that's going on? Isn't it all wonderful? What a world we live in. It's so full of happiness and love, and everything's working so smoothly. So, well, maybe not. But maybe it's to love. I mean, we don't have to like what we love. But we can certainly figure out why we should love it. And to help us understand that better is a good friend who's been on Energy Stew many times, and she works with the angels, basically mostly Ariel and Raphael, and she is very wise in her own right. So I'm so happy to talk with Adria Estribou. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. Delighted to be here talking about loving things we don't like.
Well, how does that work? I mean, it's certainly unconditional love, but just we can say that about people, but what about events? What about the world we live in? It's so difficult right now. It looks like it's all falling apart. How do we love that?
In a practical sense, because I've been working with this personally and with folks that I mentor, and the angels have been channeling about this. If a friend came to your door and they were crying, and you don't really like depression or tears, but you love this friend, the response is just to hold them or welcome them in and give them some tea, or just love them. You're not trying to fix them or say, hey, be happy or else you can't come in the door. We do know how to love people who are in distress. So there's part of this that we know really already quite viscerally. But the beautiful practice that can be really transforming is to find a situation, and it probably won't be too hard to find, a situation or someone who's in a mood near you, and you don't like it. You want to get away from it, or something you see in yourself that you really want to change. And instead of trying to fix it and change it and move because you hate your neighbor, you just sit in that quality of love for it. Probably not even having any words, but just surrounding it with your own love. And the transformative power of that is pretty immense. I've been playing with this lately with some groups, and it's amazing when we stop trying to run away from what's so uncomfortable. It's quite empowering, and it's, for me personally, I guess I wanted to be in that place where I could be in more love for the world and in more compassion in the face of difficult circumstance. This really feels like the pathway there. It's brought me right into being able to stay in that field of love and not run away from what's uncomfortable, whether it's your own emotional pain or a circumstance in your life. It's really extraordinary. It's fun.
But what if you think that life around us is falling apart? There's so much threat to just the health of our society, and it looks like our society is imploding. And how do we apply our love in regard to what we fear? What we're, especially all the conflict in the Middle East, and so much around the world, in Ukraine, etc. There's so much to be angry at, to fear, and even in our own country, politics are so ugly, and things don't make sense. How do we love it? All of that.
I'm definitely gonna let the angels answer that question. That's a crazy question. This is Angel Raphael. Yes, well, it starts with not pretending it's not there. So it's not about paint something over your window with an affirmation so you don't see the ghetto outside. So it starts with recognizing, oh, there is a war. Okay. And can you accept, in the perfect grace of the universal light right now in this time, that it is? Just start there. Can I accept that it is?
In other words, you're just painting the picture of the truth of what is.
Instead of painting a picture that you would like to see, seeing what is.
No, but I mean, let's just say, it's well, by painting a picture, I mean just identifying clearly that what we're looking at is ugly.
Yes, this is Raphael. So, in other words, from angelic perspective, personal preference is part of being human. So, not liking that there's a war right now is a very human response. So, there's nothing to fix there. So, you start with just recognizing what is, but from there, widen your picture to understand that somehow there is not a particle in this universe that is separate from God. And so somehow, and the mind doesn't have to, or the heart doesn't have to know how right now, but if you can widen that picture to include somehow this is all part of the all that is. And then,
In other words, it's in divine order.
yes, if you like, although it's more like divine chaos, but yes.
Right, but the divine chaos is the order of forward motion. In other words, if everything stayed the same, we're not making any progress.
This is Raphael. Yes, you did not each of you come to this planet to be Zen or happy, happy, happy every second. If you came to be on Earth, variety, pain is part of that.
Right.
So,
And so how to acknowledge the pain, the suffering, that either our own suffering or the suffering we see around us, which creates, our own emotional suffering, of course. And so we could be in, terrible shape about it, but why does that represent God and love?
this is Raphael. So the next step here, once you just recognizing, take a little wider view, is you notice that you have this beautiful heart. And humans are a bit unique in this amazing field, electromagnetic field of the heart. It's a power center. So when you apply it, even if it's to a country around the world, when you apply your heart, you do affect change. So whether it is your friend in your living room or a war a world away, you have the power to put your heart there.
No, it's purpose.
And that's your greatest input here in terms of affecting change and bringing about the planet that you want to see, is this heart.
And to allow the unfolding, I would think, to bring us forward in some way that might bump into another conflict. But at some point, I believe, that the conflicts are there as a toxicity to make us wiser in some way, to want to move beyond it into a more harmonious reality.
And the beautiful picture here, this is Raphael, is that any one circumstance, even a small one, but let's take the big one since we're talking about war here, means something else unique in the life journey of millions of people. To one person, it's a story on the news that sparks something on how they treat someone else in their day. And to someone, whether they're there or not, may be much more central to their story in this life. But that's the part where you get to let others, you don't have to control how everyone takes this, but you get to have your effect on it, which the most direct effect is these energies of your own heart.
So a lot of this has to do with staying tuned to the purpose of heart, to come from a place of even being heartful about your anger. Just to know that your anger is okay, because we're looking at circumstances that we're not happy about. We don't have to be happy about them. But let's just say that the love has to be the umbrella around it, that we can just, let's say, pour grace all over it.
Yeah, this is Adria. I mean, I've been using this a lot with myself too. So let's say I'm feeling frustrated, or, wish that I was feeling calm and peacefulness, but something's happening that's just, feels painful or difficult in that moment. And maybe I don't like the circumstance, and I also don't like my own reaction to it. It's that over all of that, and accepting and embracing all of it, is this heart energy. So it's not trying to pretend it's not there, and it's not trying to fix me. It's loving me exactly as I am in that moment. And it's just tremendous. It's alchemical, really, to receive that much love, even if it's from your own heart. It's kind of profound.
That's good.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a lot of surrender to the divine order of things. That, in other words, to know that we don't know. We're seeing circumstances, let's say, of chaos and destruction, that are in patterns of evolution, moving us forward into a greater light. But we can't see that far. We can only see like inches in front of us of what we're unhappy about.
Yeah, and what I see in my own story here is that if I just distract myself, had a bad day or upset about a war, and that's why I read a book or watch TV or go out with friends, that whatever that is that I'm trying to ignore is just going to keep coming back until I'm really ready to sit with it, but to sit with it in a really embracing, welcoming way. And usually it's a sort of meditation, the way I sit with it, but it doesn't have to be anything formal. It's just easier for me personally to tune into the energy in my heart if I just sit down for a minute, even if it's at my desk or my dining room table, and just kind of breathe and say, okay, this is really uncomfortable. Well, let's love and surround this discomfort with love.
Yeah, and I mean, that's only a word in a sense. So how does it manifest into expression, to think that way?
Yes, this is Angel Raphael. So for those who don't have this immediate connection, oh, love, I know how to do that, right? We would say accept. So the word accept means I'm not trying to change this. Most of the time, human mind particularly is trying to fix and change and upgrade, right? So even if it's in great service to humankind, it can be an impediment to evolution of soul. So if love, the word love doesn't really functionally mean anything to you, try the word accept. All right, right now I'm just going to sit and accept the fact that I'm very angry right now. I'm going to sit and accept the fact that a million people just died, and I'm very, very upset. I think this is very wrong. So allowing that, accepting that that is what is in this moment, is a very, very crucial step towards your own peaceful evolution. growth here.
Yeah, because I find I have more peace when I just realize that our souls knew what they were coming here for. And it's only our minds and our egos that are unhappy because our souls are benefiting from the progress that we make by going through these difficult times.
Yeah, this is Adria. At some point when you get a little bit of distance, it can be kind of funny. I mean, it's like watching a good movie. There's like some drama there, some good music. I mean, I've caught myself laughing sometimes, like, well played, universe. Like, yeah, that just like that really pushed exactly that button that was gonna get me. I was like, to me, uniquely, that was exactly what should happen to bring up that little piece of upset I haven't dealt with.
Wow, that's cool.
It's funny when you're not resisting, like, yeah, difficult circumstance and pain. And I'm not saying I'm a glutton for physical pain at all. I'm not, but if I stop trying to avoid things going wrong in any area of my life, boy, it's a lot more relaxing to get through life.
Yeah, and I was thinking of just saying, I guess my soul needs this because it's what my soul is experiencing, and to allow the circumstances to be what's true in the universe. It's just, this is true. There's war, there's all kinds of craziness, and that it's not that it doesn't exist. It's just that it's there's a patterning purpose of life needing for us to go through this. And if we're in alignment with what's needed for life, otherwise it wouldn't exist. Because I think everything that exists is not a mistake. I don't think there are any mistakes. I think right now the toxicity of the time we're in is not a mistake. It was predicted for thousands of years. I mean, we're really where we're supposed to be, and for good reason. And the reason is to get our acts together and find a way to create a harmonious world. And maybe we're far from that, but to know that we're here for that path.
Another trick that I like to play with myself sometimes too, particularly if it's something in my personal life now I'm feeling emotional about, is to listen to that emotion that's come up with sadness or fear. What do you have to say to me? What do you want to teach me, rather than trying to whitewash it? That, like, a thing I really used to want to rush through to meditation for me was like, let's get to the calm and peacefulness. I don't like all this being disturbed. We're supposed to be calm, and that's what love meant for me at that time. Let's get to the peacefulness. And now it's more accepting of, yeah, okay, fear, what are you here to tell me, and what do you want to express? And that's much more, I find, much more transformative to just
And
be
I'm
what.
thinking of trying to identify myself as a champion for myself. In other words, can I move myself beyond the smallness of where I might be at and be a champion to bring more light to it?
Yeah.
And then I'll be the hero. I mean,
Love that.
that's funny to say, but I mean, the hero to myself of not being stuck in a morass.
Yeah. But
You
it's a funny irony, right? That how it gets transformed is not by running away and
right? Sometimes you have to think of yourself as uh, a warrior of the light,
Mm.
and to fight for inner peace and to be the champion of inner peace, even though there might not be a logical reason for it. We just have to kind of stand for it.
Logic doesn't play too much into it. my experience. Oh,
Right. Well, that's the point. That's why I think it's important for us to be talking about this, because for me, this is helpful to think this way and to realize where I get snagged in a lower frequency, that I need to be responsible about that and to transmute it into some light form that owns it and trusts the divine nature of everything.
and the amazing thing, the angels say this pretty often, is when we do something like this, we're just sitting at our dining room table and we take 5 minutes to face our own fear and smile at it and say hello for a minute, accept it. We're transforming something in ourselves, but on the quantum level, this affects other people. So even though this work might seem kind of small or just about you and your emotions, it does transform the world. That's the amazing part.
That's true. That's so important to know, that we need to be a light for others. And we need to hold the ground so that others can hold the ground, just in the reflection of how we are responding.
Yeah. And we try new things for ourselves. We become part of that kind of wave of consciousness, that it becomes more available for that to be normal, or, in the toolkit for everyone else. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And sighing is a good action to feel, some inner comfort from, even if it doesn't make sense, but just to, feel a nature inside yourself that can be more at peace than our minds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Your mind's not at peace, just love it as it is.
Yeah, but it does take, sometimes it takes perspective. So I think like the conversation we're having, for me, is helpful to remind me to do that.
Mm.
And I think we all need that from each other. I think we're in a world where we do need to hold on to each other and be able to hug and feel, in partnership with people at that heart level.
Yes. And also be that for yourself. It's so critical.
Yeah, but sometimes it's easier to do it when you're having mutual appreciation.
Mm.
Because so much of what you and I are talking about, I'm listening to myself. I'm saying, I couldn't have thought of the things I'm saying if it wasn't for you.
Yes, and the opposite or the same for me is also true. Yeah.
Yeah, we're walking around our own little
Like each
world.
other,
And
the greater light.
sometimes we get lost in it, and we forget to have that bigger picture that we're talking about
Yeah.
right now. Very cool. I'm glad the angels are with us. If they didn't like what we're saying, would they have interrupted us and say, wait a minute, we have something to say about that?
Well, they said quite a lot there. This is Angel Ariel. Yes, we will add something here. Is planetary existence, evolution has its own course. So some of you are very focused on your personal evolution, and some are more focused on the planet. And both are evolutions, they're concurrent evolutions. So wherever you find your focus, it's why we brought you two together in many senses today, because one has the focus on the inner heart, for the personal self, and one has the focus for the world at large, and both dance together very nicely. So both are true. The evolutions of the planet and the evolution of soul, and they do interact with each other.
That's great. So we're getting near the end of the show, and how can people find you and learn more about what you're doing? You're doing a lot of amazing workshops and all kinds of fun things.
Yeah, we're really the angels and I, it's like roll up our sleeves and let's play with transforming your life right now. Don't wait.
Good.
So the website is adriaestribou.love, ADRIAESTRIBOU.love.
Good.
And I'm on YouTube and Instagram a little, trying to get back there, but you can find that by my name also.
Yeah. So it's always enlightening talking with you because there's always, the angels. It's great to have their perspective.
Yes, I adore it.
Yeah. Well, we need it. It's our minds can only take things so far. And here we come from a higher perspective, of more of an all-knowing that they bring to the party. So I'm just thrilled with them. Have been for years. We've been doing shows for years.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. That's great. And we'll keep doing some more. And you're living out in Sedona now.
I am back home. Thrilled to be back.
Yeah, because you were in Hawaii and then down in Tennessee, right?
Yeah, exploring music. We'll see how it all comes together.
All right, good for you. So thanks so much, Adria, for being back on Energy
My
Stews.
pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Sure. And this is Peter Roth, your host of Energy Stew at prn.live. I can be reached at peter@heartriver, HEART river.org. I'd love to hear from you, and thanks so much for listening.